Blog Talk Radio.
What up, college football fans out there, and welcome to another edition of Quick Slants, brought to you by War Room Sports on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Devin McMillan, but I'm here with the star of the show. We got Fred Perdue in the building. Fred, what's going on? Good, bro? All righty, we had Fred Perdue in the building. Fred, are you there?
Man, the powers that be, man. They trying to silence me. They're trying to silence me 8 days away. I'm ready for college football, man. Can't wait.
Like silence, punk. I was like, okay, I'll be a little stuck trying to do a college football show by myself. That might be a little disastrous. But,
definitely.
I'm not as well versed as the master over here, but some things happening over here on the desk. Yeah, man, college football is creeping up on us, man. I know this is your time of the year. You're like a kid in the candy store with all this football, college and professional on the horizon. It's a lot of stuff going on, and I think today, in episode 65 of Quick Slants, we're just going to talk about some more college football preseason hot topics. I think that's what we'll get into in this particular episode, because there's some things going on that's pertinent to the start of the season, some things that people need to hear about. And the first of those, we have a little something to promo. You guys are used to this, but we'll do that a little later in the show. But for now, Fred, I want to talk about Texas A&M and their former linebacker who alleges that the coach had some violations that we don't know about. What the hell is going on down at Texas A&M?
Santino Mark Hall, a linebacker who was a 4-star recruit back in 2017. He alleges that the Kevin Sumlin regime decided to put some extra cash in his hand after a recruiting trip. Now, for those of you that don't really know a lot about how the ins and outs of the recruiting scene work, when a recruit goes on campus for an official visit, the school can actually pay for everything that goes on that recruiting visit. And they can also pay the student athlete. Yeah, you heard it. You pay the student athlete to entertain those prospective athletes. Now, it's a meager $40 a day. It's a meager $40 a day, but it seems like maybe a coach decided to put a little extra cash in his pocket. And now we're getting, every now and then when a kid goes on to another school, he decides to start talking. And they say. They used to say this thing about snitches get stitches. I'm not saying anything's gonna happen to the kid, but shouldn't you keep your mouth shut if you're doing something? Because maybe you're in trouble too. Wouldn't you be in trouble with that?
Yeah,
too?
Everybody go by the code of the street until they leave a place, and they act like they're acting like nothing. There's no rules to anything. Oh, I'm not there anymore, so I can snitch on anything that they were doing. So it bees like that sometimes. That's quite the interesting story. Let's take it up to Big Ten country real quick. Shea Patterson named as the starter at Michigan.
Yeah, Shea Patterson. I actually really like Shea Patterson. He was on that Ole Miss team a couple years ago, but after Hugh Freeze was after his alleged promiscuous activity, and he was let go, he decided to transfer. Shea Patterson was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school, out of IMG Academy down here in Bradenton, Florida, and he has a very good chance of being a really good player and potentially an NFL type guy. Going with Coach Harbaugh, that might help. Coach Harbaugh hasn't had a quarterback since he's gotten here. This might be a legit chance to start fresh and really make some big waves, especially in a Big Ten that may not have an Ohio State team that may not be as good as we think without Urban Meyer. Maybe Harbaugh's coaching for his job, too. I'm not throwing any rumors out there, but, I mean, there haven't been any Big Ten titles coming to Ann Arbor yet. And he's
pretty much. Pretty much. In other starting quarterback news, Sooners coach Lincoln Riley has announced that Kyler Murray has beat out third-year sophomore Austin Kendall for the starting job in Oklahoma. Now, does this surprise you in any way? We spoke about Kyler Murray a little bit on this show before.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Thank you, Captain Obvious, because Kyler Murray was coming back to be the backup after signing a $5 million rookie deal in the MLB with the Oakland Athletics. Really? This is really not anything. We knew Kyler Murray would be the starter last year once Baker Mayfield left. This is nothing more than just a formality.
Right. And when I say we spoke about him on the show, that's exactly what we spoke about, his prospect as an MLB player. So, yeah, the job is his. Riley said Kyler he did a really nice job in camp. He claims it was a great competition between he and Austin. So as much as we'd like to call him Captain Obvious, he's trying to act like that there was actually a competition and a decision had to be made. I'm assuming by your reaction, Fred, that you're leaning more towards the the camp that basically says,
well,
Mr. Lincoln,
we don't believe you. You need more people.
Exactly. You can sell that coach speak. Oh, we had a competition. It was a very good time to see what we had, and that might appease maybe the rookie reporter. Maybe it might appease Oklahoma supporters. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, we've known about this a year and a half ago.
All right, so we have an SEC Pac-12 matchup that has been announced. Of course, it's announced for a few years down the line. And Oregon has announced that they're going to meet at the start of the 2022 season. What's your information and your thoughts on that one?
Oregon, Georgia, and this is a neutral site game, and of course the proverbial air quotes.
Well,
you guys can't see me, but this is a neutral site game in Atlanta, about an hour or so away. This is going to be in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, in which
will be a packed house wearing red.
Yeah, it's going to be a packed house wearing red, and they'll be eating their Chick-fil-A because, of course, you can get Chick-fil-A on a Saturday. Of course you can. But this game will be played in 2022. This will only be the second meeting between these teams. The only other meeting, which would have been in 1977, I wasn't alive yet. No time soon. Oregon actually lost this game 27-16. So this game, that past game, has no bearing on this at all. Georgia's been scheduling some tough competition to start, or at least some recognizable names, whether it was Boise State back in 2011. They also have they beat North Carolina in 2016, and they're going to start the 2020 season with the University of Virginia. So some recognizable Power 5 names. Nothing, but I think the Oregon does.
Georgia enjoys being in that in title contention, man. Got to get your strength of schedule up, so bring them on.
Hopefully Oregon is there. You'll be able to, that'll be a good measuring stick for Mario Cristobal and company. That's 4 years from now, so he'll have time to have two recruiting classes, or actually one recruiting class go through a full cycle, and the second one, they'll be juniors by then. So that should be a nice measuring stick of seeing how how good that team will be. And by the way, you know that team's going to have swag going with the jersey. We know that's going to happen at some point at that point in time. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. I'm looking forward to these teams, actually, these big-name teams just meeting up.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, every time we mention the Mercedes-Benz Dome, we got to mention that Chick-fil-A thing. I swear that story is going to be ongoing, but it's the funniest thing that I heard last year. But ironically, this matchup is sponsored by Chick-fil-A. It's going to be one of their Chick-fil-A kickoff games that particular year. So I'm wondering, because it was a kickoff game, even if for some crazy reason they had to play this game on a Sunday, would they have broken their own rules and opened up Chick-fil-A in the stadium? Like you would have to.
This is very true.
I wasn't going to date myself, Fred, but when that last game was played, I was probably literally like a couple weeks old. Literally. Because if I'm assuming if that game was like very early in the season, one of the games of the season, most likely happened in September. Yeah, that means I was literally a couple of weeks old. Whew.
So no rooting interest in that one, none whatsoever.
No rooting interest.
Just waiting to get to that next bottle, huh?
I don't know. I guess I guess I can root now. I guess since Georgia won the game back then, that automatically put me on the Georgia train for this rematch. Georgia beat them when I was born, so I look at that as a sign of good luck. Let's go, Dogs! All right. One of the biggest stories this preseason in college football is the Urban Meyer situation. We've talked about it on the previous 2 episodes. Updates, Fred. What's going on now in the Urban Meyer debacle, I should call it?
Our 14-day period has ended. Urban Meyer has been obviously put on administrative leave, but we have some developing news. Ohio State is considering a suspension, an extended suspension. We know how this kind of thing goes. He'll get time served. It sounds like they'll get time served. This sounds like a prison sentence. I mean, he didn't reveal information that he knew about something that was already going on dating back to 2009. But Brett McMurphy keeps putting out the information, and I keep saying, like Adam Schefter in the NFL, when Brett McMurphy talks, please listen. If it's about you, you're in trouble, more than likely. An Ohio State spokesman came out and told the media that this could go on for a while, and there will be no promise of a decision that will be revealed as of today. So that could be, and by the way, they did reveal that they ordered pizza for the media. I mean, they're just jabbing at the media at this point. I mean, you're just making fun of these guys at this point. I mean, it's really at that point where it might get ugly. I've heard things as far as Ohio State might be gathering money to make sure this goes away, making Urban Meyer go away. Uh-oh.
See, but then Fred, they say that, but then it's like every little thing from this meeting gets leaked on social media, so somebody's in there snitching. Jeff Snook, he tweeted about an hour ago, he said 6 p.m. update, Urban Meyer will not be fired. Board of Trustees and University President Michael Drake engaging in intense debate, suspension versus immediate reinstatement. Meyer argued passionately against suspension, stating he committed no wrongdoing, no resolution yet. Clay Hall, he said something similar, saying, I'm told principal sticking point is OSU President Drake wants a suspension of Meyer and Board of Trustees does not. We wait to see if resolution occurs tonight. So by all accounts, it seems like he's going to be there, but now they're hashing out whether there's going to be a suspension or an immediate reinstatement. And like you kind of mentioned earlier, I think the president is pushing for suspension just so when and if the NCAA comes down with something, they would already have, quote unquote, like you said, time served, already in their credit for whatever they end up doing. So it seems like he's going to be there. The board of trustees is like, come on, man, we're making too much money with this dude. That's basically what they're saying. But
the questions I have for Urban Meyer is, actually for Ohio State, are you okay knowing that this man knew that one of his assistants has been beating his wife and also cheating on his wife? These are all questionable character things, and are you okay with that? And this has been going on since 2009 when he was at another school, and he pretty much turned a blind eye to it. And if it happens again with another person on the staff, are you okay with it? And my other question would be, if Urban Meyer's name was Charlie Strong, maybe Willie Taggart, would they survive this? That's what that's my one big question. If his name wasn't Urban Meyer and it was Charlie Strong or Willie Taggart, would he survive?
Oh, that would be a whole different situation then. That would be a whole different situation if his name wasn't Urban Meyer. And as soon as I started reading the reports of, okay, at this point they're arguing suspension versus reinstatement, that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, if this guy's name isn't Urban Meyer or, Nick Saban, somebody like that, the argument would be suspension versus, being fired, being terminated. So that's what happens when you rack up this much credit in your particular industry. You get the benefit of the doubt.
To be honest, just to be completely clear about how this team will kind of navigate the season, they start the season off against Oregon State, who has been terrible. I'm sorry. Let me quote one of my favorite crazy people on TV, Charles Barkley. They were terrible. They're terrible. And you move on to Rutgers. You get a out of conference matchup. It's not really a neutral site, but it's kind of we're in the same state. TCU. You go to Jerry World to play TCU in week 3. You get Tulane week 4. And you get Penn State week 5. So how many games are we really suspending Urban right now? Are we suspending him 2 games against 2 real non-opponents? Yeah. Or are we suspending him for 5 games and they have to navigate against 2 top 25 type teams? Just curious.
All right. Well, speaking of top 5 type teams, the AP Top 25 poll, the preseason poll has been released. We can quickly go over Top 25. You can tell me if there's any surprises in there. Of course, with 40 votes, you got Alabama at 1, Clemson at 2, 18 places, Georgia at 3 with none, Wisconsin at 4 with 1 for Ohio State at 5, Washington at 6, Oklahoma at 7. Your boys from down at the at number 8, Auburn at 9, Penn State at 10, Michigan 11, Notre Dame at 12, Stanford at 13, Michigan at 14, USC at 15, TCU at 16, West Virginia at 17, Mississippi State at 18, Florida State at 19, Virginia Tech at 20, UCF at 21, Boise State at 22, Texas at 23, Oregon at 24, and rounding out your top 25 in the preseason poll is LSU. But here surprises you, or do you think the list is pretty much accurate, pretty much what it should be?
No, and I'm gonna start this off by saying no shade thrown, all respect given to Florida State, but they have no business being here after what they did last year and what they returned. I need them to earn their way back into the top 25. LSU the same way. Their defense is pretty good, and we'll see. We'll get to see them firsthand week 1 against Miami, so I hope I don't eat crow on that one. They don't belong here. Texas at 23 does not deserve to be in the top 25. Those are really the only ones I see. Maybe Mississippi State should be up a little bit higher than that. They maybe could swap out with maybe a Michigan or a USC at 14 or 15, but that's kind of nitpicking. But really, everybody seems to be exactly where they should be. I'm interested to see at number 11 where Michigan State goes, because they've been kind of out of the loop a little bit, and they all accounts out of East Lansing, they have a quarterback and the defense is stout. So they've had a lot of things swirling around them. I'm also a little worried about Oklahoma. I just don't know. I think they're just more of an unknown with the change at quarterback. But everybody else, the top four, pretty decent. Ohio State should probably be in that 4 spot, but because of the Urban Meyer situation, you have to drop them just because of that. But everybody seems to be where they should be. And again, this is a preseason poll. This won't look the same way. Not 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, it'll look a lot different, much less at the end of the season.
All right, and this might be putting you on the spot a little bit, so if you haven't thought about it, that's okay too. But you did mention Florida State, LSU, maybe Mississippi State shouldn't be in the top 25 at all.
No, Mississippi State should be up a little higher.
I'm sorry.
You
said Mississippi State should be higher. I'm sorry. So for those other two teams, do you have two teams that you think should replace them at the moment, or you haven't thought about it that much?
I think South Carolina definitely deserves to be in this top 25. Their defense is going to be just a savage defense, and they have a couple guys on offense. Deebo Samuel, Jake Bentley, guys that I really want to see do something. And I'm just going to put it out there. I think FAU deserves to be in the top 25. What they did last year, how they finished the season, what they returned. They have 3 viable quarterback options. One's from last chance U, DeAndre Johnson, from Florida State. It just seems like Florida State gave up 4 quarterbacks, and they're all over the place now. But that Lane Kiffin-led team should probably be at least 25 on that list, and just kind of teams that maybe can make the cut. NC State or Iowa could definitely fit into those spots.
Shout out to DeAndre. So he's gotten his health situation behind him, I presume.
Yes, he's got the blood clot situation and is taken care of. So he's good. He's 100% ready to be good to go, and I think he's going to win the QB battle down there. I'm looking forward to seeing what that team does. And they get early tests against Oklahoma early. So let's see what the fireworks look like down there in year 2 under Lane Kiffin.
All right, that's your preseason AP top 25. Also announced was the preseason All-America team. We can go through some guys on this team as well, and you can tell me your thoughts on that. Quarterback, we got Will Greer, West Virginia, and the back, Jonathan Taylor of Wisconsin. Out wide, David Sills of West Virginia, A.J. Brown of Ole Miss. At tight end, Noah Fant of Iowa. Offensive tackle, Jonah Williams, Alabama. Guard, Bo Benschweiel of Wisconsin. At center, Ross Pierschbacher of Alabama. At the other guard, Michael Dieter of Wisconsin. At the other tackle, Dalton Risner of Kansas State. And Deebo Samuel of South Carolina. He had a broken leg that ended his season last year, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. All right. So he's like the the all around guy on this team. Then we go over to the defensive side. You got defensive end Cleveland Farrell from Clemson, Christian Wilkins at the other D tackle from Clemson. Safe to say Clemson's going to have a very strong interior.
They have 4 first-round caliber talent on the defensive line.
At the third at another defensive tackle, Ed Oliver from Houston, and Nick Bosa, defensive end from Ohio State. Why does that name sound so familiar? Who knows? At one linebacker, you got Devin White from LSU. The other, T.J. Edwards, Wisconsin. Devin Bush from Michigan. At safety, you got Jaquan Johnson from the U. You got Taylor Rapp from Washington. At corner, you got Levante Taylor from Florida State. And at the other one, you have Greedy Williams from LSU. And what a name to have if you're a cornerback. And at kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship from Georgia. Punter, Mitch Wishnowsky from Utah. Any quote-unquote snubs you see here, or do you think they got this one right?
I'm a little bit biased. At the defensive tackle position, it's hard to take Christian Wilkins out, but I'm a big fan of Dexter Lawrence at Clemson. You could just kind of input anybody on that D-line and just put them in there. I'm also a little bit biased at the cornerback spot. Michael Jackson, cornerback Miami, should definitely be there over Levante Taylor. Just seeing those two, Greedy Williams is a guy not many people know about yet, but he is a stud corner. Can play off man, press man, corner. He can also play a little bit of zone, so he's going to be interesting to watch. And Michael Jackson might be just the best athlete we see, and is technically sound. You don't usually see or hear that combination, being a great athlete and being technically sound. So that would probably be my only snub there.
All right, so everybody, it is that time of year, so you know what that means. You need to jump in as soon as we give you the information, which will be on our social media pages. You need to jump into that War Room Sports College Football Pick'em. Test your knowledge against our experts' knowledge, Fred Perdue. See if you can go in week by week and accumulate more points picking these college football games against the expert. So remember, check out everything that we're doing at warroomsports.com to look for the Pick'em link within the next week. Make sure you go to facebook.com, and on Facebook, we're just simply at War Room Sports, facebook.com/War Room Sports. We'll also tweet it out at War Room Sports, and Fred will also have it on all of his personal pages as well. It is college football time. It is college football pigskin pick'em time. Get in, see if you can beat Fred and win the prize. The prize will be announced on next episode of Quick Slant, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. Well, this has been another episode of Quick Slant. For my partner, the star of the show, Fred Perdue, I'm Devin McMillan. Man, college football is right around the corner, so you guys know what we always like to tell you. Don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance. And we'll see all of you chumps on top. Peace.
War Room Sports. www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.
You can measure the impressive torque of a Lexus SUV, but the only way to truly understand it is to experience it. At the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event, find great offers on our most capable models.
Lease the 2018 RX 350L all-wheel drive for $489 a month for 36 months, with $39.99 due at signing. Experience amazing at your Washington area Lexus dealer. Call 1-800-USA-LEXUS for important lease offer and pricing details. Not all customers will qualify. Offer valid in the Lexus Eastern area only and in September 4th, 2018.